Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to make a short video just to kind of express the mental and emotional gymnastics that I've experienced these past few days. Throughout this entire ordeal, there's been something that's been really hard for me to swallow, something really hard for me to accept for myself. And I want to talk about that a little bit, not only because it's a high possibility that I do have this diagnosis, but also I need to be honest with how I've been hurting my chances almost. So there has been something continuously brought up these past few months by doctors and family members, and each time I heard it, I just didn't want to hear it. I didn't want anyone even putting me in that category. I remember when my primary physician first brought up conversion disorder to my husband and I. It was right after my head MRI came back and everything was clean and normal, so he wanted to talk to us about the normal results and also his opinion. He said that he was doing a little bit of research about my symptoms and that my brain seems to be looking fine, so he suggested that I might have conversion disorder. Obviously, I've never heard of that in my life, so I was waiting for him to just jump into great detail about this disorder, and I was very disappointed when he confessed that there really isn't a lot known about this disorder. And I was further disappointed when he told me the possible treatments for conversion disorder, which was antidepressants or hypnosis. Hypnosis. That was the moment where I suddenly stopped taking this whole thing seriously. Obviously, I was told that doctors have yet to find a cause for conversion disorder. I was also explained that conversion disorder was a fancy medical way of saying your symptoms are real, we know they are real, but we don't know where they're coming from and we don't know how to help you. Which greatly disappointed me further. In that moment, I felt a few things. I'm not being taken seriously. My doctor thinks I have a made-up disorder so I can feel better about my symptoms. To my understanding, conversion disorder is also a medical way of saying you have really bad anxiety and you don't know how to deal with your stress. And because of that, your body is going wacko because you lack coping skills. I honestly felt very offended that my doctor even thought that this was all caused by anxiety and the fact that I couldn't deal with it. I felt very disappointed that this was the diagnosis that my physician was going to fall back on continuously throughout the months. Every time a test or a blood lab or a scan came back and it came back clean, that was the diagnosis that he suggested or kind of prodded at whenever we discussed the results. So with me believing that conversion disorder was a made-up diagnosis for people who are so weak-minded that they can't deal with their stress and their body is paying the ultimate price for that, of course I'm going to reject the idea of conversion disorder. Of course I'm going to push and dig for other possibilities like narcolepsy. So when I brought up the possibility of me having conversion disorder to my family, they also did not take it very seriously the same way I did, but that hurt me in the long run. Because looking back, I should have done so much research about conversion disorder and just going home and being angry instead of just actually Googling conversion disorder and looking it up and trying to understand it better, which was my fault. Honestly, a lot of the emotional hurt that I've been through this past few months could have been avoided if I was more educated about the stuff that my doctor was telling me. Even if my doctor was not telling me everything correctly, I still could have done my own research instead of just relying on somebody else and then just being, oh, well, this person said this, so obviously this is what this is. Lesson learned. So anyway, what my family and I believed about conversion disorder was that it usually lasts between 3 to 5 months. The symptoms are very drastic, and the best form of treatment is therapy or antidepressants. And that the main cause for conversion disorder is some kind of childhood trauma, usually sexual trauma. So now let me tell you why this hurt me in the long run. While I was going through this nightmarish ordeal, having all of these unnatural symptoms, my family was waiting for me to hit the 5-month deadline. Because they believed that this was going to be a very short-lived ordeal, they were just kind of waiting for me to get over it. That didn't help me at all. I really needed them to cry with me and get angry with me and get frustrated with me and talk about doctors with me. It put a lot of stress on me, knowing that whatever I was going through had an expiration date. If I didn't meet that, what would that make me look like? Would it make me look like I'm just exaggerating everything? Would it make me look like I'm faking everything? It was very hard for me to survive through the past 3 months, through everything that I was going through, through the symptoms and the tests and the disappointments and the doctor visits, all the while knowing that my family is just waiting for me to get over it. And it made me feel like I was mentally unstable, just very weak-minded. It was honestly terrifying living through these past few months. And there was even a time where I didn't know if I would really live through it. If I can be completely honest. That was something that haunted me for a long time. So to hear my family is continually telling me that nothing is wrong with me, I'm going to be fine, that hurt. That really hurt. Because something is wrong with me. Just to hear that they were not really taking this seriously hurt me to no end. It wasn't healthy for me to believe that and to hear that. Like, if I don't know what's going on, how am I going to suddenly become healthy within the next 2 months? For example, my in-laws have been more than gracious in helping Justin and I. They have prepared us meals. They've bought and installed multiple equipment for me. So one Saturday, my in-laws spent the day with me at my house while Justin was at work, and we were on the couch just talking, and she mentioned how she was kind of bothered by something that my parents have said in the past revolving around the stair lift. And I didn't even know that my in-laws and my parents even talked about getting a stair lift together. Obviously, I didn't know that my parents didn't want to invest in a stair lift. Apparently, my mom said that I would not be going through this for much longer, so there's no need to invest in something like a stair lift. And my mother-in-law said it doesn't matter if she needs it for 3 days or 3 weeks. She needs it. It didn't bother me that my mom didn't want to invest money into a stair lift, but she was more focused on the future when I was going to get better and I wasn't going to be needing the proposed equipment. I guess from the perspective of someone who doesn't see what I go through on a daily basis, someone who only sees me like a few hours a day or a few times a week. I guess I can understand that they see me as just a normal person. So that was the thing I was in complete denial about this entire time. I did not want to think about it. I did not want to hear about it. I did not want to even see it in a video or read about it on a website. I just seriously did not want to touch it. I didn't want to be diagnosed with something that a test couldn't capture or a doctor couldn't thoroughly explain. I was desperately grasping for something real, for something concrete, for something unfathomable, you know? Like, maybe I do have narcolepsy with cataplexy. I don't. Because conversion disorder was not an option for me. So because my family and I totally misunderstood what conversion disorder is, it just made everything so much worse. And because I did not take it seriously, I just got more and more frustrated every time it was brought up. It's been a crazy ride, guys. So a few days ago, while I was at my mom's shop, later in the day, Amanda and I just began talking about my symptoms. So Amanda went ahead to Google and YouTube conversion disorder, and she looked up different websites and she watched different videos. And after about 10 minutes of looking at the computer, she looks at me and she just says, "Gina, they look just like you." And to be honest, I did get a little upset that she went ahead and Googled that and then told me that this might be a huge possibility for me. And I really can't get upset with Amanda for doing that, because it really encouraged me to dig deeper into what conversion disorder is and not what I believed it was all along. So low-key, thank you, Amanda. So I suck it up and I Google conversion disorder and I find out that it's not even named conversion disorder anymore. So conversion disorder is now being renamed functional neurological disorder, otherwise known as FND. So after my personal research and days of thinking it over and realizing what I misunderstood and what I now understand, come to terms with the possibility of me having FND. Because now I realize it's a real disorder and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I also found that functional neurological disorder has their own support group on Facebook. Once I was allowed permission to enter the group, I read dozens of people's personal stories, how they suffer with FND, what their symptoms are, how long they've been suffering, how it affected their life. It really brought functional neurological disorder into reality for me. And just the fact that there's a support group for this. I'm not alone, and this is not all in my head, and it is not all made up. It's not exaggerated, it's not faked, it's not forced. I guess it makes me feel better because it's a far cry from what I used to believe conversion disorder was. Hey, honey. That's all I have to say for today. I just wanted to get that off of my chest and let you guys know where I am mentally and emotionally. I'm still not completely out of the woods just yet, but I'm almost there. And I'm one step closer to answers because I got myself out of the way. Until next time, guys. Bye.